Hey everyone, welcome back to Crypto Cash. Thanks so much for joining me here. Hope you're having an amazing day. We're taking a look at Gala once more, just kind of get perspective on where things are at here today. All right, now before we do, we always look at Bitcoin first, get a quick baseline. I think it's important to look at it right now based on the fact that it is affecting a lot of coins. Some coins are moving independent, some are codependent, some are off and on. So we just want to kind of identify that. And just a note too, we had a bit of a market manipulation here where the price kind of went really, really low and then just shot right back up. So you can kind of see that here if you look at the 1 minute chart. You can see that the price has slowly bled, and then there was a massive increase in volume here, and the price has been steadily increasing since then. That tells me that we had one of the largest whales in the industry, because they are well awake now over on the eastern side of the globe, right? Not here in the US just yet, but they're essentially buying the dip, if that makes any sense. So the fact that they're investing heavily at 54,000 tells me we're in pretty good shape to see this likely be the bottom. That's just my speculation, but I feel like we're in pretty good shape. There's no real indication that we're going to go truly that much lower. That's just kind of how I feel, okay? So I hope that is the case and we see the price continue upwards. I might consider taking a Bitcoin position here in the near future. Just want to see what happens in the next 24 to 48 hours first. Now let's go ahead and move on to Gala. And if you are new to the channel, just know I'm not a financial advisor. This is for educational purposes. I'm not just saying that as a disclaimer. I truly love helping people learn how to become better traders or just better with their money in general. That's just kind of the foundation of who I am. I like helping, and finance is the best way to improve somebody's quality of life. So obviously here with this Gala, we're going to take a look at that. And what we do is we look at the 1 day chart first, kind of get perspective on what's going on, and then obviously work our way down, right? Because you need to know everything. That's why we look at Bitcoin too. We just got to understand where it's at. So likely Bitcoin's at its bottom. So let's go ahead and see how that impacts Gala. So on the 1 day chart, first of all, we want to just kind of specify that we are above 70, not a problem. It's pretty normal for a coin of this magnitude where it's had a lot of increase over the past few weeks, more so a couple of weeks, honestly. It's a very short amount of growth, but a lot of growth in that short amount of time, rather. So, all good things here for the RSI over 70. I like to see that. I prefer that to be the case because it still implies we're bullish, right? Keep in mind too, we have 2 red days followed by a potential doji candle here. That's basically telling us there's a state of indecision and that there's usually a reversal to occur because of that, which basically just implies that we could see the price continue upwards from here for Gala, at least in the immediate short term. All right, so all good things there. Let's take a look at the 4 hour, see what's going on with the moving averages, and work our way down. 50-day simple moving average has not been tested yet, but I like that it's working its way up to intersect with 56 cents, which is going to be a strong support level here soon. It effectively worked as a support level. True, it wasn't tested, but is very, very close to the level in which the price came down and bounced back in the last 24 hours. All right, so I think since last time I covered it, it was going sideways, had a strong sell-off, and that's likely because of Bitcoin kind of decreasing what Bitcoin dropped about 3, maybe 4% in about 30 to 40 minutes yesterday. And that caused this unfortunate knee-jerk reaction with a lot of coins. Gala was no exception, and essentially we saw that happen. But obviously in the last 12 to 16 hours, we've seen a pretty significant increase, and that is awesome. So taking a look here, it pushed the price down just below 50 on the RSI, but it technically held as a support, which is pretty common, which kind of reaffirms the fact that 56, maybe even just say 58 cents would be a pretty strong support level. So right in that range, 56, 58. Furthermore, we've also got the price is jumped up 3 candles here in a row, and we have it followed by a red candle. It's pretty common to see 3 candles in order and then a red candle following that, but also bear in mind we had that strong dip here from Bitcoin, and that likely affected the price. Because again, keep this in mind, even though Gala is fairly independent of Bitcoin, it's done very well contrary to how Bitcoin's doing, right? You got to understand that when something is overextended, Crowcoin is a prime example of this, it's getting hit harder than usual when Bitcoin sells off because it's overextended, and it's been we're in that fear, uncertainty, and doubt stage right now. There's a very large fear index for Bitcoin, and that kind of trickles into coins like this, no matter how much we want to, act like it's not a thing. So just be aware of that. That's why I look at Bitcoin, so we can kind of see this candlestick down was probably Bitcoin's behavior causing that to happen. And in most cases, it can actually be very advantageous because sometimes it'll get get a necessary reset. We could have been a 9 on TD sequential. Looks like we probably were. And then we probably got a nice little healthy reset correction, which is perfectly fine. So let's take a quick look at that. We got up to an 8, and then of course, as we were trailing down to a 9, we got the reset over to a 4 now. So hypothetically, at this point, based on this indication, we could see 5 to 9 hours more of bullish sentiment to the upside. We could see that. right? Now, that's not a guarantee, but that effectively tells us that we have bullish momentum. The one thing that's contrary to that, that I don't love, but there's some things I do like here, is that we're below the cloud, right? We want to have confirmation above the cloud before we take entry and have that true, I guess you could say that true feeling, that true confirmation, right? That's probably the best way to describe it. We want that confirmation above the cloud to know that when we take entry, we have that confidence that it's going to continue. Now, recently, based on Bitcoin being so indecisive, we've seen the cloud kind of give us contrary results, right? Crowcoin took entry yesterday right above the cloud. It turned right around about 3 or 4 hours later, and it dipped all the way down to 70 cents recently. Thankfully, we added to our position at 70 cents and we kind of doubled down, and I think that's likely going to pay off. But with this here, we're under the cloud. So what I recommend doing is waiting for the cloud to be broken and at least have a couple of hours worth of continuation above that to ensure you have that motivation or that momentum essentially in the right direction, and it doesn't just turn around again. It's also helpful to understand that you're not at a 9 on TD sequential going into it. And right now, see, we're at a 4, but by the time we get to the top of the cloud, if it were to get there, we could very well be at like a 9 plus, or depending on how it works out, we could get a reset. What I'm hoping happens is for Gala to kind of go sideways right here at the resistance at 67 cents. We have this ascending wedge pattern that breaks out to the upside. We have a nice consolidation effort, and we start that timer over, and then we have a leg up just barely above the cloud when we're starting TD sequential at 1 or 2. That'd be fantastic. That's perfectly what we're looking for. So ultimately, I'm going to pay close attention to Gala around that time. Unfortunately, that's 1 a.m. on a Sunday night, or Monday morning for me. It may not be the best time, but perhaps you want to consider looking at that yourself. I would say once Gala crosses the plane of about 68 cents, roughly between 1 and 3 a.m. Pacific Standard Time on Monday, then that would be a consideration of a potential buy signal if we get that that information there. So what I'll do is I'll just probably plan to cover Gala immediately in the morning, kind of get an idea of what that's looking like then, because we'll have more information. Right now we're premature. We're kind of trying to break this resistance level. We just had this little reset. The conversion line is above the baseline. That's a positive sign, but that's not the only sign you use on the cloud to effectively take entry, right? So we got, I would say half of the pieces here of the puzzle to take a long position. If you're the gambling type or you just know Gala's the coin for you, go ahead and dollar cost average. Add to your position. But don't consider taking a full-on, position with tens of thousands of dollars with a tight stop loss and a lofty target, right? We want to have a realistic profit target. And to me, a realistic profit target for Gala in the immediate future would be somewhere in the range of about 75 cents. And that's approximately 10% higher than we're at presently. Now, I know a lot of us get kind of used to these gains of 20, 30, 40, 50% in crypto. But keep in mind, in a real world, a real setting outside of crypto, 5% gain in a month, 5% gain in a year is even very, very good. That's a strong return on investment, okay? So keep in mind, a 10% increase in the next, just say 12 hours, that should be something we celebrate, okay? I want you to start getting perspective on that. Obviously, it depends on how much you're leveraging and how much capital you have. I totally get that. But we got to shift our mindset away from this crazy, insane, parabolic behavior or thought process. Yes, it can happen, but you want to consider taking profits while you still can without being, totally just greedy diamond hand holder. Again, nothing wrong with that. I have plenty of coins in my HODL bag that I don't touch. I just keep adding to my position. But on the same accord, what is your goal for the coin before you get into it? You need to understand that and know that. If it's going to be long-term, all good, leave it alone. If it's a short-term, you want to be smart, set 3 profit targets, set a stop loss, trailing take profit. There's a lot of things you want to consider, and I might recommend trading bots for that because those help facilitate that much easier. There's no exchange that I'm aware of that allows you to do multiple profit targets, stop loss, trailing profit, all the above without very meticulous, constant, paying attention to. So anyways, that's enough about my soapbox there. Let me go ahead and summarize here. Let's go ahead and go with the best case scenario because I know you like to hear this. Keep in mind, I don't think this is realistic in the immediate future. I think the short term for Gala is best case to see 84 cents in the next couple of days. That would be a better case scenario. But just say we're going kind of liberal, right? Because this is 4 days of trading here. And this amount of increase we saw from Gala in that 4 days was 110%. Thankfully, as a community, we took every single profit target. In fact, we took our profits just before that highest point there. However, we want to get to that point again, right? That same amount of growth, which would only be 52% in this scenario. Just say we got to this resistance at 84 cents, consolidated, got a nice bounce off of that new support. We could look at about 128 as a better case scenario, and that could very well happen in the next 4 days, okay? Again, you know me by now, probably if you've seen my channel and watched my videos, I'm very conservative. I don't think that'll happen immediately. I would say more so a week or two, just based on the simple fact that we're still in this fear market right now, and that is causing a lot of slower growth based on the fact that Bitcoin keeps legging down. People don't know where the bottom's at yet, and that causes a lot of uncertainty and doubt. So that's just my sentiment there. All right, so I hope it works out. I hope that by the time I talk to you tomorrow, we're $1 plus, right? Be great. But just keep in mind, 84 cents is a likely next target. We need to break that, consolidate, close above, establish that as a support level first in the 1-day candlestick before we continue. All right, that's what I'm looking for. So let's go ahead and take a look at this again tomorrow morning. We're going to take a look at the cloud, kind of see what's going on with that. If we're above the cloud, right at about just say 68 cents. Then we'll be in good shape to consider taking entry. I'll feel confident in a long position at that point. All right, we'll take a look then. Hope you have a great rest of your day. Thanks so much for your time. We'll see you in the next one. Take care.